Welcome to another episode of Brian Decoded Show. Tonight I want to talk about the modern philosophy, a mental model for the modern time that can allow you to thrive, progress, and be happy. And I will point out my favorite philosophy is coming from Aristotle and his amazing work, Ethics. So, but when you read this book, it doesn't give you the answer to the question of modernity. And modernity is attacking us from all different sides. Modernity is this deep vested interest of big corporate to extract value out of you. It appears as a fair exchange, but the big tech, the big pharma, the big corporations are constantly trying to find ways to influence you and to extract your energy, money, attention, and everything. So in this process, we can see how media and influencers are shaping human opinion and they're shaping their belief systems. So through the repetition of the media messaging and the emulation of people that are influenced by the media messaging, we are coming to a point where people start to have these beliefs that are imposed on them by the society, and they don't question them. They're not rationalizing them, and then they start living somebody else's life because you're constantly flickering and scrolling and going through the content that bit by bit you're becoming someone else. And it's very hard to reverse this process. Like I love social media, I'm not gonna lie. And I think most of you watching YouTube also are enjoying social media to some degree. So how do you find a life philosophy in a modern age that allows you to retain freedom? And that is the first fundamental principle of being decoded, is not going to the office. Because if the biggest quantitative shift, or let me rephrase that, the biggest qualitative shift in quality of my life was when I quit my office job. I was feeling like sad that I even held the job, but immigrating to a new country kind of forces you to pick your battles, right? But I remember that was January 1st, it was starting 2019. I didn't have the job anymore, and I went out for a walk. It was cold in Chicago at the time, and me being on that walk meant everything. Like I didn't have to go into the car and spend hours on end in traffic. And I was calculating, I was like spending two and a half hours in traffic per day. Let's say 2 hours, 15 minutes per day on average. So like in a single week, I was like counting how many more hours could I be productive. Not understanding that like after a couple of years of being in business, like I wouldn't even care because those 10 hours a week were well spent living. And even though some days may look similar because you don't have like a fluctuation of people when you're working from home and stuff like that, but the commute was replaced with walks. So I was looking today, it was Monday, the busiest day of the week, and I managed to drop 23,000 steps. So if being 100% remote is the first principle of modern philosophy, the walking is the second one, and they go hand in hand. So the pure enjoyment and sheer pleasure from walking by the lake is the primary reason why I got back to Chicago after spending months on and in Europe and visiting family for the holidays and having a great time. It was amazing, but I'm coming back to Chicago mid-February with the sole desire to experience amazing Chicago weather in the summer and to have this big focus on walking. So I think that these two principles, when applied in a modern life, are by far the biggest qualitative jump in your lifestyle quality. There's nothing better than being able to go for a walk and not to be stuck in the commute. So those are the two main principles. Now there's other ones that are defining my own philosophy that I will get into more details as we talk tonight. But if you experience these two, I know for a fact that your life will dramatically change, because the increase in walking is improving your cardiovascular health. So it's an exercise that allows you to expand your longevity, and it's not very intrusive in terms of like you being able to complete it. Just requires that you're outdoor a lot. People, I saw my neighbor and he's like, "Are you eating outside all the time? Like I see you outside all the time." And so no, I eat at home, which is another positive thing. But as I'm not putting it as a centerpiece of my life philosophy, but food is definitely like moving up on the list of the things that I'm improving on. But these two are the biggest driver of happiness that a person can experience, moving from having a 9-to-5 job with a strict schedule that doesn't mold to your physiological needs, and the routine that is not your own, where you don't have freedom and ability to choose your time. These are the problems that I'm never going back to. I remember, like, I was talking to myself in 2018, and I've kept repeating, this is my last job, this is my last job, this is my last job. And it was true to a degree, because people that are working remote, they work extra hard to keep that remote. Now, if you're asking me, is it better to run your own business or to be remote working for someone else? I would first ask you, is your business remote, in order to be able to give you an answer to that question? Because I know a lot of guys in tech that are MSPs. MSP stands for Managed Service Provider. And they have the worst of all worlds. They have an ability to take the risk, which is great, but then they also have to go and visit clients or pay the crew that visits the clients. And that part, my friends, is crazy. That is crazy. Like, they're getting the worst of both worlds: the risk of the business and the unpredictability, plus going to somebody else's office. It's not even their office, so it's even less control of the traffic and schedule. So, and then let's say you have a graphic designer working in a company from home and leisurely putting in 5 to 6 hours per day. This person that's putting in these 5 to 6 hours per day, this person is probably dramatically more happy than a person running an MSP business. So you always have to think about the trade-offs. So if I've defined being remote and being able to walk as a core tenet of the lifestyle quality, then it's very hard to explain to someone why certain people don't want to make even more money. than they are making. There's always going to be a push and pull between your desire for recognition by the society versus your own level of comfort. And somewhere you'll have to balance it out. And it's going to be a personal preference at that level. I hope that makes sense. I'm using this example of thinking in order to teach someone how to apply the thinking process to themselves, so that they are not punked by the society to tell them you're not enough or you're supposed to act a certain way, because you're not. One of the biggest things for me, when I graduated college and I went working in a bank for a couple of months, and I've quit. I didn't like working in the bank, and I got a job in tech. And I was an outsourced consultant, digital marketing consultant, and I was making $4 an hour. So that was the first real job after those 2 months in a bank of working in the office that I'm not counting as a real job. That's like a fake job, because that job would have me go in a suit and a tie for less money than I was making in tech. And I remember I packed up in Serbia. It was crazy, like $4 an hour back in 2010. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was good money. It allowed me to buy my first MacBook. But the most important thing that it allowed me was to pack my laptop and go to Greece. And I took a whole 6 weeks working from Greece, and I had a really good time. It was amazing. And that for me was a taste of freedom. I was showing this to my dad as a feat of strength. Look what the modern times can do, and how I don't have to mold into what you think I should be doing with my life. And that was the breakthrough freedom. So when we see the world and how things are developing, I can't say to a Gen Zer, someone who's there in their early 20s, how to behave and how to make money, because making money in this modern time is dramatically different than how it was a short 10 years ago. The AI is accelerating this. So I can't go and create a realistic philosophy that prescribes more than these three most important things: sleep, movement, and food. And I'm lacking on the food right now. That's like a part that I have to tighten up about my own life. So, given I'm a little bit tired, I'm gonna keep tonight's episode a little bit short, but I hope that you've enjoyed having this perspective about sleep, walking, and being remote, because I will be talking about these topics a lot, and I mean a lot, especially about the remote. And I want to hammer into every one of your minds how mission critical it is to quit the office. And I'm not saying quit your job, I mean quit your office. Don't ever go into a cubicle. This is why I built Alpha Efficiency, and all the job opportunities that I've created over the years for people have been the exact type of job that I myself would work in, that made complete and total sense to me. With that being said, go remote and have a wonderful night, guys.